First, a word from our sponsors.
Every day, we're surrounded by media. Books, movies, art, music, games, apps, podcasts, etc., etc. With this constant bombardment, it's easy to miss great media gems in the chaos. But fret not, you've come to the right place, my friend. I'm Jason, and I love media. I invite you to check out the Mixed Media Forest podcast, the podcast where I trudge through the forests of media to find hidden gems for you, the listener. Every episode of Mixed Media Forest is chock full of fun, reviews, nostalgia, positivity, news, rants, stories, and recommendations about all things media. Again, that's the Mixed Media Forest podcast, created on Anchor Podcasting app and available everywhere fine podcasts can be found. Give it a listen. It's what all the cool kids are doing.
Hi, I'm a kid, and since my parents aren't garbage, they warned me not to listen to this podcast, because it's full of nasty stuff and cuss words and stuff that only grown-ups would think is funny. So, if you're a kid, like me, go read a book or something. Gosh. And if you're a grown-up, as soon as you hear a voice that isn't mine, you better have your headphones on. Got your headphones on? Sure? Okay, I'm out of here.
The communication was strange and intriguing. He was asked to investigate an unidentified airborne contact. This wasn't a terribly unusual request while the strike group was in transit or deployed far from home waters, but it was more than a little strange, practically in sight of the San Diego home port. To add to the unusual communications, he was queried as to what ordnance he had on board. None. I'm Acadia Einstein, and this is Strangeful Things.
Love has practically caused me to just get you destroyed.
Unsolved, unresolved, and super complicated.
Strangeful Things.
Well, hello folks, it's Acadia here with the whole crew. We have Sandwich, Shooey, and Mells all together for the first time, so how is everybody?
Woo!
Woo-hoo.
Yeah,
We're good.
You're ready.
Doing well. Exciting times.
Yes, this is the first time all four of us have been together on a show. We had 3 last week, and now we're reunited, or actually, I guess, initially united. Yeah. Just united.
United podcast group.
That's right. The United Podcast System.
UPS!
So if you've listened to this show for any stretch of time, you will know that I am not huge on aliens. I mean, I love probing as much as the next person, but I definitely don't think aliens are scary, which is not to say I 100% don't believe they exist. I'm just saying that I need to have some pretty strong evidence for things before I'll jump on board. So the fact that I'm even doing this story is saying something. And we also have our intern. Remember, we have an intern in the United Kingdom.
What?
Yep, we have an intern in the United Kingdom. Shout out to Rory, who is currently working on research for another UFO story as we speak. So maybe I like them more than I thought.
Right on.
Hey!
Right?
Thanks,
So-
Rory.
That
was
awesome.
my English accent. Thanks,
That's
Rory.
That was beautiful.
Okay.
Thanks, mate. At any rate, this story we have coming up tonight caught my eye because instead of slack-jawed civilians, we have another group of people as the witnesses, and they are not the type to become overexcited at the prospect of seeing something out of the ordinary. But before we get to that, what do you guys think about UFOs in general? Like, have you ever seen one? Do you believe in them? What's your take?
Well, I live in UFO, wet dream land out here in Nevada. So
Oh, true.
aliens
UFO
and
Crossroads.
everything.
That's right. I need to come see you.
I've yet to see an UFO or an alien, so
we got to go specifically look. Though.
Well,
we
I
have
know.
to go where they are at the time that they are.
I'm a bit disappointed in that. However, I do rest easy knowing that I live in a place where it's possible.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
I've never been abducted, at least that I know of. So.
What about you, Shooey?
I don't know. I think I don't know. There's probably something out there. I haven't seen anything. I think there's a lot of space out there, so chances of something showing up is pretty high, I guess.
Yeah, that's true. Plus, you live on Long Island, so there's too many airports, so the planes would scare them all away.
Yes.
That's how they hide. They hide with the plane. So you look up at the sky and you're like, oh, it's just a plane, but it's
true.
them sneaking in, pretending to be a plane. But
that's how they get you.
Oh, see?
Yeah.
That's how they get you.
That's right. It's a conspiracy.
Superman. It could be Superman, too.
Yeah.
I've eaten a lot of acid in my time, too, so I've definitely seen some stuff.
Oh, I thought you meant tonight. I'm glad to know you were just generalizing.
No, that was last night.
So maybe we'll score a sweet flashback and we'll have a brand new segment for the Patreon. All
Every fucking day, my friend.
That's patreon.com/strangeful, by the way, if you want to hear Sandwich Trip. All right. So there's renewed interest in UFOs since it was not too long ago disclosed that the U.S. government had a program called the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, or ATIP, which spent $22 million between 2007 and 2012, and they made a bunch of reports that have never been released to the public. The program was spearheaded by Harry Reid, Nevada senator, and technically the senator of Area 51.
See?
And we still don't know what they found out. But what we do know is...
Reid was happy about what he had done, saying, I think it's one of the good things I did in my congressional service. I've done something that no one has done before. The place was run by Luis Elizondo, who was a former employee of the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence, or the USD.
Good job there, Shooey. Good job.
And a former U.S. Army counterintelligence special agent. Elizondo quit the Pentagon in 2017 and told General James Mattis, James Mad Dog Mattis, that his letter, that the program was not being taken seriously. He also said that he believed that they had found very compelling evidence that we may not be alone.
See, Harry, you're my dog, Harry. Call me. I'm in Nevada. Call me.
They're covering it all up. They made a 490-page report in 38 different studies, and that's not even 38 as in a made-up number. Like, they did 38 different studies, and none of them have been made public. This is fucking X-Files shit.
This is an entire series. I love it.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right, to be fair, according to Politico, an anonymous former congressional staff member said that after a while, the consensus was that we really couldn't find anything of substance. They produced reams of paperwork. After all of that, there was really nothing there that we could find. It all pretty much dissolved from that reason alone. And the interest level was losing steam. We only did it for a couple of years.
Yeah, whatever, smoking man with your naysaying.
I was going to say, who was the smoking man in this group? Now we know who it is.
It's the guy talking to Politico, that's who. Be that as it may, there was some video evidence produced, and one of said videos has to do with the very case we're going to be discussing today. But before we start, I found a fun list on History.com that gave some very credible sightings. Mells, can you give us a couple examples?
Hey, no problem. I am just going to do 2 of them, though, because they are the 2 that I liked the most. So,
all right.
First we have the Lights Above New Jersey Turnpike in 2001. According to the article, it takes a lot for motorists to stop alongside a highway to look toward the sky. But on July 14, 2001, drivers on the New Jersey Turnpike did just that. For around 15 minutes just after midnight, they marveled at the sight of strange orange and yellow lights in a V formation over the Arthur Kiel waterway between Staten Island, New York, and Carteret, New Jersey. Carteret Police Department's Lieutenant Daniel, look, not Lieutenant Dan. I'm sorry. Y'all gotta stop here now. Hold on. Okay.
I'm leaving it in.
You can leave that in there. All right. Lieutenant Daniel Tarrant was one of the witnesses, as well as other metro area residents from the Frog's Neck Bridge on Long Island and Fort Lee, New Jersey, near the George Washington Bridge, okay? Air traffic control.
You are the woman of 1,000 voices.
This, for some reason, I excel at northern accents. Just kidding. So
good. So good.
Air traffic controllers initially denied that any airplanes, military jets, or space flights could have caused the mysterious lights, but a group known as the New York Strange Phenomena Investigators, NYSPI, claimed to receive FAA radar data that corroborated the UFO sightings from that night.
Can I say something?
Ooh.
Because I just stopped real quick, but I was just like, can they just short it to like New York Strange? And I'm fucking in.
Yep, New York Strange. You gotta get some.
The New York Strange.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Now, the question here, was Tony Soprano on the turnpike at the beginning of The Sopranos?
Yes.
Okay. All right. And the reason I say that is only because that's literally the only thing I know about the New Jersey Turnpike.
The opening scene of The Sopranos was him driving from the city to his house in New Jersey.
That's right. Woke up this morning, grabbed myself a gun, saw a UFO, went on the run, boom, boom, boom. That's the Mells version of the Sopranos theme song.
What's the
sweet freestyling?
What's the opposite of Patreon?
Oh, what? We need to. We need to pay people to listen to us.
We're gonna put it on the Hatreon.
Wow, rude. Okay, I just really showed my range here, and you shit on me like that. Okay,
I'm just saying.
All right.
I like when there's sightings that a bunch of people stop and get out of their cars for, because it's harder for people to like poo them because there's a bunch of people that saw it.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it's harder for people to poop. I'm like,
No.
What?
Like, I couldn't imagine people just getting out of their cars anywhere in New Jersey anyways.
Yeah.
You know, it just seems like
true.
they're on who would do that? You just pull over on the bridge and...
Well, it would have to be a big deal. I mean,
Right.
depending on the time of day, they were probably almost stopped anyway, right, Shooey?
Well,
Well, it was the middle of the night, wasn't it?
it was midnight. I was going to say
then,
Shooey's the one that's our expert, our
He's the
SME
expert.
on New Jersey and Long Island. So
Oh my God.
Wow, it's like I'm listening to my neighbor.
See?
Yeah, I know.
Wow.
And guess what? I've never even mentioned that part of the continental United States. So
Wow.
You would never know it.
Y'all ain't never been up here.
Listen, I ain't been past North Carolina, okay?
Oh my Lord. You blend right in. So, what's the other case?
Well, second, we have the East Coast Go Fast video from 2015, which was one that was leaked from the aforementioned Advanced Aviation Threat Identification Program that revealed an encounter between an FA-18 Super Hornet and an unidentified flying vehicle. Not object, vehicle.
You mean like a flying Cadillac or something?
Boy,
Yes.
it was a Coupe de Ville. You would not believe. It had, I'm telling you, it had wings. All right. So seen along the East Coast on a Raytheon Advanced Targeting Forward-looking infrared.
Jesus Christ.
I mean, thanks, Acadia. The ATFLAIRREE Afterlife Pod is what I'm calling it.
I like
All
it.
right.
The craft was a fast-moving white oval about 45 feet long without wings or exhaust plumes. So it was a Coupe de Ville, in case you were wondering. The pilots tracked the object at 25,000 feet above the Atlantic Ocean as it flew away and simultaneously rotated on its axis.
Oh my God.
And guess what? No explanation ever emerged.
I'm glad you picked that one. Because if I was going to make a list, I would pick the Phoenix Lights.
Right.
And the Mexico City case. But since they didn't make the History.com list, maybe they're actually shitty examples and I suck. Do you guys have any favorite, like, sightings? Not just do you believe in UFOs, but, you know, the ones they show on the, like, I don't know, Inside Edition and shit like that. Like, the Phoenix one always stuck in my head.
What about all the ones that were on Unsolved Mysteries? Yes.
Or In Search Of.
Oh, yeah, that's true. In Search Of, too.
Yes.
I'm sticking with Phoenix because they were in a wedge shape just like the New Jersey Turnpike one.
That was so wild because it was so many people recorded it.
So many people.
It's unbelievable, but there's no way that many people could get together and create something fake like that. There's no way.
I agree 100%.
Do you remember when like iPhones first came out, there was an app that you could pretend record a UFO sighting?
What? No, but I need to know more about
No way.
this.
All right, I'll have to look into it. Since nobody likes it, we'll cut this part out. Since nobody knows it, we'll cut
But
it out.
I
About
want to
removing the magic from life.
Man.
I hate people. I was going to say, like, you know those paintings where it's got like the little saucer UFO in the background? Like there's little baby Jesus and his little son and Mary holding the baby. And then there's a little UFO going by.
Oh my God. I need that in my house. That's fine artwork.
Is it somebody who's like going around who takes oil paintings out of Goodwill and then draws monsters in the forest? Have you seen that guy? What if it's that dude?
Oh God.
That's outstanding.
I love it.
Yeah,
I love
it
it.
would be
Just outstanding.
I don't know. I think they've been here for a while.
Yeah.
The paintings
Well,
or the aliens?
Yes.
Yes to which one?
Both.
Wait, yes to which one? It wasn't.
She's being ominous.
Both of them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, thank you. I was like, this is an A or a B.
Yeah. I think that's really kind of weird to see all of these weird symbols, like the guy, like the astronaut guy that's like in a freeze in Italy. You know, it's like, what is this dude with the helmet on and everything? And it's like they didn't have helmets and
Not those kind of helmets.
but it does look like an astronaut. But anyways,
Well, that's good. That's good. The more visual things we talk about on our radio show, the better. So, a ton of the research for the actual case we're going to talk about is from the article, There I Was, a Fighter Pilot's Edition of the X-Files, from Parco Chirisi at sofrep.com, as well as some cool stuff I found from space.com. So let's go backwards from where the sneaky shit happened, and then we'll go back to what they're being sneaky about.
Okay.
So, the case we're talking about took place off the coast of San Diego in 2004.
Whale's vagina.
What?
A whale's vagina.
whale's vagina?
Yes. Oh, yeah. I forgot. I didn't hear you the first time, but yes, that is what San Diego means. It's very, very well known.
Oh, that's right.
And what we know about what happened will just blow your fucking mind, but the fact that the Navy knows even more than that should make your head spin. Because the Navy called the whole thing a, quote, unidentified aerial phenomenon, and wants everyone to just shut the fuck up about it.
Okay.
But they only told us that much because the New York Times ran stories outing the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program and concerning the incidents in 2017, including videos of the gun cams of Navy fighter jets with something nobody could identify in their sights.
What?
Yes. So let that sink in.
What the fuck is that sink want? It's always trying to get in. God.
Zing!
Mom
So-
joke for the night.
According to a site called the Black Vault, which is a great name for a site, Joseph Gradisher, official spokesperson for the Deputy Chief of Naval Operations for Information Warfare, said,
The Navy designates the objects contained in these videos as unidentified aerial phenomena. The unidentified aerial phenomena terminology is used because it provides the basic descriptor for the sightings, observations of unauthorized, unidentified aircraft objects that have been observed entering, operating in the airspace of various military-controlled training ranges.
So, we have videos that were released by the Times and a place called the To the Stars Academy of Arts and Science, which is TITSA.
Good Lord.
They published 3 videos.
Titsta and A-tip.
Yeah, right? One of them was of the incident Mells talked about earlier, the So Fast one. And the other ones were from 2004 during our story. According to TITSA, the videos were declassified, but according to the Navy, they most certainly were not. Pentagon spokesperson Susan Gao told the Black Vault that
the videos were never officially released to the general public by the DoD and should still be withheld. And Greatasher, as part of his previous explanation of what a UAP was, said, the Navy has not released the videos to the general public.
Shooey,
Now,
I think you got Susan go down like nobody's business.
Yeah.
Okay?
I thought it was her.
I seriously thought it was her talking.
I
Yes.
called her today just to get her voice
Okay,
down.
good.
Yep.
See? That's dedication.
There seems to be a little confusion about whether or not the videos were classified. And as near as anyone can figure, they were released to a small group of people, but were not intended for public consumption. But since TITSA got its info from apparently one of the people it was legit shared with, it might have been an accidental leak, maybe by Luis Elizondo, the guy who quit the program because it wasn't being taken seriously. Whatever it was, what do you guys think so far about the cover-up part?
But they're covering up that there was something that the fighter jets saw on their on their radar, or not their radars, but like in their like crosshairs, basically.
Yeah, no, but part of it was radar, and it was the video was released, and then the Navy was like, yeah, no, that really wasn't supposed to get released, so it was on accident.
Wow.
I just find it suspicious that right when all this stuff is happening, we're creating a space force.
Well, to be fair, maybe this is why we need the Space Force.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, right?
To be prepared so we can, take on aliens that can travel hundreds of millions of light years.
Yes, just to come over here and not say hi.
Right.
They ain't fucking with us, okay? They're just trying to, honestly, every time they come into our airspace and they see what the hell's going on around here, they're like, deuces, get the fuck out of here.
This is not the place for us.
Still not up to par for us. We'll come back in another 15 to 20 years and try it again.
Either that, or maybe it's like a whole race of really shy beings, and they just they get here,
Yes.
Yeah, they travel across the universe. They get here. They look a little. They peek behind a cloud, and then somebody looks up, and they're like, I gotta get out of here.
They get close. Yes. They just get closer and closer to saying hi, and they're like, "Oh, not today."
Nope.
Their science could conquer the stars, but not crippling social anxiety.
Exactly.
I mean, somebody just give them a Xanax and see if they'll come on down.
Can we have warp drives in exchange for a Zanny?
We'll give you a Zanny.
They would be like me, scarf down 2 extra large burritos.
Mm-hmm. Hell yes.
And watch some murder mysteries.
Yes, that's good. That's we've dumbed down the entire universe. All right, now to finish the whole cloak and dagger portion of the story, Vice did a report about how the Navy had admitted the videos were real, were not supposed to be released, and were of UAPs. But they also reported on the Freedom of Information request filed by a guy named Christian Lambright. And as part of the answer, the Navy said that it had discovered certain briefing slides that are classified top secret. A review of these materials indicates they are currently and appropriately marked and classified top secret under Executive Order 13526, and the original classification authority has determined that the release of these materials would cause exceptionally grave damage to the national security of the United States.
What?
And this is the response to the Freedom of Information Act request. We have also determined that ONI, Office of Naval Intelligence, possesses a video classified secret that ONI is not the original classification authority for.
What?
Which brings us back to Susan Gao, Pentagon spokesperson, who also added in another FOIA request, the Department of Defense, specifically the U.S. Navy, has the video. As Navy and my office have stated previously, as the investigation of UAP sightings is ongoing, we will not publicly discuss individual sightings, reports, or observations. However, I can tell you that the date of the 2004 USS Nimitz video is November 14th, 2004. I can also tell you that the length of the video that's been circulating since 2007 is the same as the length of the source video. We do not expect to release this video. Now,
I'm personally offended that you didn't get Shooey to read this quote because it's Susan.
I know.
It's true.
I know. I just didn't. I didn't want us to get copy struck for impersonating an actual person.
I understand that.
Okay, gotcha.
So
It
now,
was pretty tight, though.
I know.
that last part is important because there might be a longer duration, clearer video out there, which now brings us to the whole point of this thing. Here we are, back at the source of all the cover-up and nonsense, and I'm relating the story I mentioned earlier, which was written by the guy that runs Fighter Sweep. That's Paco. Fighter Sweep is what SOFREP.com is called. He includes the story because he knows one of the guys involved, a fella named Dave Sex Fravor.
What? This guy flies a jet, right?
Wait a minute.
Right, yes.
Like he's
Yeah, so
like
instead
Joe
of-
Goose,
So
whatever.
he's like
Instead of
Maverick.
his
is
name is
Sex.
Sex.
Oh.
Yes.
Yep, it's Sex.
Sex.
And he said about him,
For what it's worth, I know him personally very well. We flew A6s together for a cruise back in the dark ages before he matriculated into the Hornet world. He's a funny guy, smart and sharp-witted, with a typical fighter pilot's overestimation of his skills. It's easy to get a sense of who and what he is because his squadron was featured on the 10-part miniseries Carrier that aired on PBS. You get an excellent and accurate impression of him from his screen time as commanding officer of VFA 41.
so, the guy seems legit.
I don't know.
Which means, well, I mean...
As
this
legit as
sex-
a guy named Sex could be.
a guy, yes, but is
It sounds to me like Ken Burns was involved at this.
gets
So.
featured on a 10-part miniseries.
I mean, if it's on PBS, it ain't a lie.
That's true. So, we can assume he knew his shit on November 14th, 2004, when he took off with his wing person and started patrolling south of the carrier USS Nimitz, which was southwest of San Diego, but not like super far out to sea. The exercises they were running were to get the whole carrier strike group integrated and on the same page because they had to go to an actual fucking war, so practicing was not a bad idea. But what nobody knew at the time was that part of that group, the Ticonderoga-class guided missile cruiser USS Princeton, was picking up some weird contacts on their Spy 1 radar. The people running the equipment were experienced and trusted, and according to the article,
They had detected multiple returns descending from far above the radar's scan volume, somewhere higher than 80,000 feet. The targets, dubbed anomalous aerial vehicles, or AAVs, would drop from above 80,000 to hover roughly 50 feet off the water in a matter of seconds.
What? Whoa.
Wow, yeah. Always over the same spot, a lat long of about 30 nautical miles off the coast of Baja, roughly 70 nautical miles south of Tijuana, TJ. At the time, the Spy 1 was the most sophisticated and powerful tactical radar on the planet. With it, they were able to track these AAVs while they descended, hovered, and then zipped away at speeds, turn rates, and accelerations faster than any known friendly or threat aircraft. Impossibly fast.
Oh, okay. So it was
Damn.
faster than the friendly.
Or a threat.
Yes. Faster than anything.
Like anything that
Yes.
anybody knows. They know. The Russians, the I don't know, the fake news planes, whatever. No, faster than all of
exactly.
it.
So the guys from the Princeton were all happy that the Nimitz pilots were around because they could go check the shit out. So now I'm only going to refer to people by their Navy pilot call names now because it's awesome.
Oh, man.
because of sex. And there was another guy named Cheeks, which made me think
What
of
if they were partners?
Sex cheeks.
Sex Cheeks is on the scene.
during the
Yeah.
Super Bowl this year. I got a message from
That
the
was it.
neighbors that said their little girl said, "I'm going to root for the Cheeks," and then I couldn't take the game seriously after that.
Oh,
So-
the Cheeks.
Cheeks was in a different plane, and the Princeton asked Cheeks to investigate the AAV. Yep,
Stop
ass
it.
Cheeks.
You should have put You should put some different
Ass
words
cheeks.
together right
The
there.
Princeton
You gotta say
inquired of
ask.
Cheeks, would he
You gotta-
please investigate the AAV?
Hey, ass cheeks.
Yep. So the ship also asked the pilot if he had any live weapons on board, and the answer was no. So,
Uh-oh.
like it said in the cold open, asking if you have live ordnance on your plane is not very common when you can literally see San Diego from the fucking window.
Right.
So, they also had an E-2C Hawkeye in the air, which is one of those like super radar planes that can check where everything is on the battlefield. And they eventually homed in on the contact, but it was too far away, so they sent Cheeks to go look for it. But they warned Cheeks to look out because sex was coming.
Stop it.
Yep.
This is Sex in the Cheeks
Yep.
right
They
here.
said, Cheeks, go check it out, but don't get too close because Sex and his wing person are coming in. He didn't want him to crash.
You don't want Sex in the Cheeks tonight, that's
Nope.
for sure.
So,
It's like an 80s detective show.
yes, it is.
Sex in the cheeks.
So the ship had a lock on the object, and Cheeks was told to stay 10,000 feet above it. He didn't pick up anything on his radar, so Princeton told him to head home, but instead he flew down to take a peek.
So Cheek took a peek?
Yep, there was a cheek peek.
It was cheek peek.
Cheek took a peek.
Yep.
Whoop.
So let
So-
me get this straight.
Yep.
Okay, so they're seeing this thing, and they're like, "Hey, sex cheeks, go check this out. And by the way, you got any bullets?" And they're like,
Yes.
no, we don't.
Why?
And why are
Yes,
you asking that?
exactly.
Oh, no reason. But
Just wondering.
go down and check it out and just let us know how it goes.
Just
Like,
asking.
Wait,
You're
what?
fine.
Yeah. Okay, so I just wanted to get that straight.
Yep. That is a very succinct explanation.
Because that would freak me the fuck out. And I'd be like, what if we don't do it and we just say that we did?
Yes, exactly. Except that they're the radar boat, so they're going to know. So according to Fighter Sweep, the sea was calm, almost glassy smooth, and it was late morning on a beautiful Southern California day. Perfect conditions. As Cheeks flew over the spot, he saw a disturbance on the surface of the ocean. A round section of turbulent water about 50 to 100 meters in diameter. It was the only area and type of what he called white water, describing that it looked as if there was something below the surface like a shoal, or what he'd heard a ship sinking rapidly would look like. He overflew the disturbance and circled back in the direction of the Nimitz without ever seeing what caused the water to froth. As he turned away, which happened to be the moment the Super Hornets, that sex, converged on the location, the white water cleared and the ocean surface returned to its smooth state. The spot of the previous disturbance was completely indiscernible.
Wait a minute. So it was invisible?
He couldn't see what was making the water look like that. And,
Right, that's what I'm saying.
yes.
It was
as he
it was invisible.
Yes. And as he was going away, the water stopped like being frothy and it went back to smooth.
What?
So
So he's
Cheeks
meeting his
left.
friends with the Super Hornet. So and then he looks back and he was
Yes.
like, "Oh, it's gone." Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, wait, are you saying that Cheeks then split?
Wow.
Cracking herself up.
Well, she's
Listen, I couldn't resist.
wow. Welcome to the Memorial Mells edition, where she killed herself with her own butt joke.
I blew myself away with that one.
That's some good butt humor right there. The Hornets showed up and they looked around and they eventually found the whitewater, and they thought that it might be a crashed plane. So Sex moved in for a closer look and saw a white object just above the water. It was featureless and oblong and was sort of moving back and forth a little while it stayed just above the frothy water.
Stop with the sex.
Listen, thank you, Sandwich. All I can imagine is a dildo just moving
That's
back
his
and
name.
forth
Did you
over
get
the
this
water.
script from Brazzers or what?
Yeah,
What
it's
the
just- Brazzers.
I mean, come on. It was
So-
featureless, oblong, and moving
Pornhub.
back and forth. It was
Well,
wiggling
it
a
was.
little.
Now, this is the-
Vibrating.
It
this
was
is
wiggling and frothy.
This is the
Come
super
on.
It
important
was
part.
squirting.
It was
Yeah.
a blue whale's
You
vibrator.
guys are
Okay, sorry.
just...
Let's get it together.
Ugh. Here I am trying to communicate important UFO information, and you guys are going all low about whale
Listen.
dildos.
It ain't our fault. They're the ones that this is their fault for choosing names like Sex and Cheeks and not expecting somebody to
Yeah, that
then
is
take
true.
oblong objects and make funny
Frothy
jokes.
water.
That's true.
Well, who would have ever known that they'd be together, you know?
Yeah, that's true.
Coincidence?
They didn't know it at the time. So
God.
he tried to get a radar lock on it, but he noticed that the thing turned one of its ends. He kind of described it as looking like a Tic Tac, which makes
Okay.
sense. So
Yeah,
picture
yeah.
a white Tic Tac down there, which, by the way, nobody would eat a tick and nobody would eat a tac. So whoever invented the food Tic Tac was a fucking genius. So, but it turned so that it was like looking at him, so it knew that he was there.
I don't like this. I
So-
don't like this at all. It was
So-
looking at him
Yeah, it was. So
after
now,
frothing.
after
So
frothing.
he knew that was the front of it?
Well, it was one end of it. It could have been.
Could have been the cheeks.
Could have been sticking its ass at him
That's
like
true.
booning him or something.
That's true.
Ooh, what'd you say, Shooey? Like nanny nanny boo boo?
Yeah.
You can't catch me?
I'm going to show you my ass,
Exactly.
sex. So,
Take this, sex.
so then after that, and it took so long that they had time to say, like the Hornets were going to run out of gas, so they had to go back, and they sent out a whole new set of planes, a squadron or whatever, and the Tic Tac flew around, and they locked onto it. So, according to Sex, the video was on YouTube for a little while, then it got taken down. But according to the video, which, by the way, it's not super hard to find, as far as...
Did you find it?
Yeah, I found it. The infrared camera did not detect roiling hot gases blasting from below the AAV as they would with a Harrier or a helicopter. It was simply hanging in midair. He switched to the TV mode and was able to again lock the FLIR onto the object while still trying, with no luck, to get an STT track on the radar. Now, I don't know what STT track means. Guy tried to look it up, but I failed. As he watched it, the AAV moved out of his screen to the left so suddenly it almost seemed to disappear. On the tape, when it slowed down, the object accelerates out of the field of view with shocking speed, just like the Princeton had been saying that it had.
Oh my.
Now, apparently, again according to Sex, who mentioned it to Paco Teresi for the story, a 3-letter government agency interviewed everyone involved regarding the incident. The pilots and the people on the
FDA?
ships. Yeah, it was definitely the FDA or the IRS. On September 11th, 2019, the Navy said there were no AAVs in the videos that were not supposed to even be released because they were secret. So that was the Navy's big story. Oh yeah, that video that we said wasn't supposed to be released that got released. Yeah, there's no AAVs in them, even though you can clearly see it in the fucking video.
Yeah, so you've seen this video. How clear is it? Like, can you actually see what's going on, or is it like all the other videos where everything just looks
It's like grainy or
No,
something.
it's not it's not in 4K Ultra HD, but you can definitely tell that there's something that it's locked on. And you can see him, he gets it, then he loses it, and then he switches the view, and then it just like fucking books it to the left.
Do you see it wiggle its rear end at you?
No, that part was before they did that. So we got a bunch of credible people who saw things, some classified material, including briefing slides, and a Tic Tac shaped vehicle that appeared off the coast of San Diego in 2004. And I thought that I would end the story before we discuss it amongst ourselves with the reason that Paco believes it. Now, he was a military pilot for 10 years, and he said the following at the end of his article.
I'm not sure what to make of these events. I've loved the story since the first listening because it is so crazy. I have never given aliens or UFOs much thought. It was a waste of my CPU power to mull a question like that. If they wanted to make contact, they would. If they wanted to observe from a distance, then they would be impossible to discern given the assumed high technology required to get here. But now I was faced with credible witnesses. Not crackpots like Acadia wearing foil hats, but people I knew and people who were from my world. There were multiple corroborating platforms that detected the AAVs using varied sensors. And of course, the 8 eyeballs that actually got a visual on the white Tic Tac as Dave maneuvered to merge with it. He doesn't have to be a stranger to you either. Watch him on the PBS series Carrier and generate your own opinions of his professionalism and sanity. Then, send me your best design for an aluminum foil hat.
Oh, I've got some good designs.
So,
Okay, well, wait a minute now. Paco, this man needs to be in the PBS Marketing Center. Okay?
yeah, I know, right?
Because he is hardcore on PBS and Carrier.
Yep. Well, I mean, that's his biggest... He can say, you can judge whether this guy is nuts or not by watching him on that show, because the guy that was on that show was that Dave sex guy who was the one that saw the Tic Tac first.
Yeah, you can watch 3 full days of him if you have that kind of time.
Yeah.
I ain't trying to be ugly when I say this.
Mm-hmm.
But Dave, if you want me to take you a little more seriously, I need you to quit using the name sex.
He doesn't get to pick. You don't get to pick your own name. They give you the name.
Who in the hell
like Maverick
gave...
picked his own name, Maverick? Come on.
You can't. They give it to you.
Really?
Who in the hell gave him the name Sex?
I don't know. Maybe
And why?
Maybe it was because he never had any sex and they were doing it to tease him.
Oh, like you would call a big guy tiny?
Yeah.
You know what? Then, wow. This was... Not only was this fucking, UFO really showing its ass in more ways than one. It was showing its ass to him and teasing him if he ain't never had any sex.
Trolling. Poor guy.
I have.
So
You'd like a piece of this, wouldn't
I'm going to tell
Sex?
you what. Aliens are rude AF. And I'm just saying, at least the one that was operating this Tic Tac.
So the thing I found interesting about this was the shit leaked out, and then they were like, yeah, no, you can't watch these videos that have this object in them that we're later going to say wasn't a fucking object. And it smacks of when the Roswell incident first happened, they were like, oh my God, it was a UFO. And then the next day they were like, yeah, no, it wasn't.
Oops.
So
It was a balloon.
A weather
Right.
balloon.
in this instance, they fucked it up from the jump. And that whole task force they spent $22 million on, that was one of their biggest pieces of evidence. And, I mean, you tell me, Sandwich, you have military experience. Do you think Navy pilots are the type that would generally make up shit like that could get corroborated by people that are on the boats and shit like that?
No, Navy pilots are just, they're expendable. The Geneva Code is, slightly above other people. They're in the officer rank, but they're not like leaders. They're not like in charge of things. They have squad leaders and things like that, but they're not like 4-star generals or anything. What I think
Gotcha.
is that this 3-letter acronym organization is probably the Defense Intelligence Agency.
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
And they've been around probably since the Roswell days when they were
Right.
formed. the Area 51, all of that stuff. That's probably some experimental aircraft that people aren't supposed to know about. But as the last 50 to 70 years have shown us, you can get this shit out of the headlines in a second's notice just by saying, who are you going to believe, me or your lying eyes?
Right.
All you need is all you need is one person at the New York Times to go, yeah, run it on page 67B and never run it again.
Right.
Right.
Or send it to whatever you need. You could say, this is national security. We're not going to tell anybody about it. It's probably some sort of defense technology. I mean, for Christ's sake, we spend so much money on defense, and we have been spending that money through secret agencies for 70 plus years.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So who's to say that it's not something like that? And of course, they're running exercises. We're constantly in war. Somebody's going to come across something. This isn't the first time things have shown up on a radar.
But now, so you're thinking that it was definitely an anomalous aerial vehicle, but that its origin was us, and that these guys were not supposed to see it, but they did.
Right. And it doesn't matter if they see it or not, because, again, any representative of the government who's a Spock is going to say, oh, no, that's classified. They don't even have to explain it. You just say it's classified. Sorry, can't tell you that. Yep, that's the link.
National defense.
Wink. Yep, that video is not real. Wink. You watching this, Russia? You watching this, North Korea? Okay.
Because if it's a spaceship, how does it affect national security? If it were a spaceship, it would have no impact on national security. Or hiding the video.
People panic over the dumbest shit, you know. You don't want people to know what you've got in the the arsenal, you know. So I think that's all it is. I swear, I think that's it. Because it's still HARP, DARPA, and all that shit. They were actual programs. And we didn't find out about them until, 30, 40 years later?
True.
Right.
All of these things are actual programs, you know, MK Ultra and, you know, all of that shit actually happened. I mean, this could be just another program. And, yeah, you let a little information out so that you can let people know how powerful you are, or you have something going on that people don't know what it is. And, you know, you can scare them with the technology that they think you might have. And then everybody else says, it's a UFO. And you're like, no, it's classified.
Well,
no, it's a weather balloon. You know, who cares?
Yeah.
If we know about it, we're just going to.
True.
I'd flip out. I was like, the fuck is this? Or maybe it's killed people. Who knows? Apollo, whatever, 13 or 11. Or what was that one that?
It was. Wait.
One that burned everybody?
Oh, that was a Mercury. That wasn't an Apollo. It was a Mercury.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
That burned right on the.
Yeah.
I was thinking of the Apollo one that I was thinking about is a scary one where they went on the other side of the moon, right? And it was like an alien over there or something.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
So, Mells, do you think it was an alien or one of our things or nothing?
Oh, I don't think it was one of our things. I mean, I feel like perhaps this is me being naive, but wouldn't we have, if it was one of our things, wouldn't we have known? Like, don't you think realistically we would have been able to say, oh, no, we've seen something like that before and we can identify it and move on?
Sandwich's point is that it was a secret thing and they would rather have us think it's a UFO than...
Well, right, but wouldn't
something that we made.
Maybe us. Yeah, but I mean, like, the people that saw it, you'd think they'd clue them in, right?
Yeah, you'd think.
So, I
guess it depends on what kind of clearance you've got.
Well, that's true, too. Yeah. That's true, too.
What do you think, Shooey?
I don't think they want us to think about it at all. I think there's issues with both sides. Well, they beating the government doesn't want us because if it's something we're doing, then they're trying to keep it secret from us because we have this crazy technology that we shouldn't have or whatever, or that's so advanced that, you know, people are going to freak out about it. And then, you know, obviously, if there's actually aliens showing up, that's something else to freak out about. So
true.
Mm-hmm.
I think they, you know, that's why they've been hiding this stuff forever. You know, there's been crap like X-Files and Project Blue Book and all stuff like that's been covering this and looking at this shit for like 50, 60 years, and and none of it's really gotten to the public. So
I guess my final verdict is it's completely Tic Tac aliens, and the government is completely baffled by it, and we're all gonna die. And it probably had coronavirus in it.
I don't know. We'd all have pretty good breath, I think.
Is that why it was waving its butt in the air? Because it was spreading coronavirus?
You were the only one that said it was waving its butt in the air, Mells.
No, you said you didn't know if it was pointing down or up, which means the butt was in the air or the butt was in the water.
You went right for the ass.
Well,
immediately.
You can't avoid it if you got someone in the story named Cheeks. Okay,
fine.
She's just taking a cheek peek.
So
just a little sneak cheek peek.
Yep.
This is the thing. Now that there's four of us, all of our final conclusions can always end in a tie, which will be broken by people that listen to the show. Ha ha. So
you listen here, you one person.
That's right. You can my cousin. You can talk to me about it at Acadia on Twitter, and Mells is MellsBells84, and Shooey is Shooey Time, SHOOEYTIME, or you can talk to the whole goddamn show at Strangeful Pod. What about you, Sandwich?
I think I'm Jennifer Sandwich on Twitter. JENNFER. SANDWICH. It's horrible. Maybe I should change that.
I like it.
Maybe I should just be J Sand. I don't know.
Ooh.
I'll figure something out. But
no,
for now, that's what it is.
People would think that you're actor Julian Sands.
Oh.
I don't know who that is.
Yeah, nobody does.
Of course, no. Well,
he's from Warlock.
Sandwich doesn't know who anybody is about anything. Her TV is actually faced the other way.
Stupid, Acadia. You're so dumb.
If you like the show, you can always subscribe, and you can tell your friends and neighbors to give it a listen. And if you super duper like the show and want us to have, a little bit of do-re-mi support, you can go to patreon.com/strangeful and you'll get extra goodies.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is the third time I've said this, or fourth time in the last 2 months, but there is going to be a crime sandwich coming up very soon.
Yep.
In the next at least 6 months, I'm sure. Or at the minimum of 6 months.
Yes.
I love that time frame.
That also.
And Mells and I have also worked out that we're going to have another little secret something about a place that Mells actually went to visit. That's very spooky and strangeful in its own right. So everybody get ready for that.
Yeah. Well, okay. I got scared for a minute. I was like, uh-oh. I don't recall discussing this with you, but now I do.
That's just outstanding.
Well,
everybody.
That's been fun. My cat needs to get out of the room now. He's getting a little upset.
Well, all right then. We better let the cat out. And
who
you
let
guys...
the cat out? Cheeks.
Who closed the door on the cat?
Six.
Oh my.
Six.
My lord. When... We're going to have to talk about
It's Super Tuesday. You got to be super extra today.
All right, everybody. Have a marvelous week, and we'll be back with another story in approximately 7 days.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye. And that's that.